Hey everybody, welcome to Sid's Little Corner of the Internet. We've got another Transformers review coming your way. This time around we're going to be taking a look at the Transformers Rise of the Beasts Studio Series number 104, the Terrorcon Nightbird. So as we always do, let's go ahead and take a look at that box first. And we'll bring it in, and you've got the Transformers Rise of the Beast logo. You have that nice CGI artwork there. You've got 104 Nightbird Transformers up the side. On the side of the box, you've got some nice artwork. On the back, you have all this good information. It is big screen inspired. It is the attack at the museum. You've got officially licensed Nissan right there. And then down here you have Nightbird and the Terracons fight back the Autobots to steal the transwarp key. And then down here you have all your warnings, and you have the sad baby, and the baby's sad because the baby is afraid of Terracons. Makes sense. It's got the word terror right in it. Over here you have 104 Studio Series close-up of that ugly face, and deluxe class. Down low you have all that information if you care to read it. So yeah, my box is a little beat up. I actually found this figure in the wild, and that was the way I found it on the shelf. So not the greatest packaging, but hey, it's what's inside that counts. So now that we've talked about all that, let's go ahead and get it out of the way and get into the meat of this review. Behold, laid out here before you is everything that came inside that box, and it's not much. She's a deluxe class figure, so there's not much to be expected here. But over here on the right hand side you have your little sheet of warnings. Over here on the left hand side you have your instruction booklet, and you're left with what you have here, which is basically her sword. So it's not awful. Let's go ahead and bring it in and take a look here. So you can see you've got that black molded plastic, and then you have, or this gray molded plastic, and then you have this black paint on the blade itself. A little bit of detail in there, not a lot. And there's the blade. Other side, very surprising, is the exact same. So yeah, that's pretty much it. I'm going to spend a lot of time on it. You know, gets the job done. She's got a sword. And other than the sword, the only other thing that comes in that box is what you see here, which is that display base, if you care to use it, which has the backdrop of the museum battle right there. So as always, these are nice that they include them. I don't have the room, so this is going to go back in the box. Box is going to go in storage, but if you have the room, it's a really good option for display. So now that we've touched on all that, let's get this stuff out of the way, and let's go ahead and bring Nightbird in for her close-up. Here she is, that bot we've all been waiting to see. This is that deluxe class Nightbird. So let's go ahead and bring her in and take a look at her details. And we're going to start right up here with that head. And yeah, she is something. I mean, this is definitely a callback to the Nightbird that we saw in that original G1 cartoon. So you get that purple, that silver, those beady little eyes in there. I like what they've done here as far as this cowl goes. So it looks pretty good. And then coming on down to the chest, you've got a couple of halves of a Nissan hood right there. A little bit of detail if you look there in between. And then just some skinny little abs up in there. And then you get down here to those, looks like feathers right there for the crotch. And then you've got some detail in there. And then of course you've got these big, you know, basically the sides of the car that are folded down. They're a little exaggerated on the toy versus the actual CGI model, but they can only do so much. Coming on down, taking a look at those legs, very skinny legs. And then the insides, not too bad. You've got some mechanical detail in there, and then you've just got that one slight hollow area, but even down here, good sculpt work as far as mechanical detail, so it's good to see that was added in. Coming around, taking a look. Well, before we get into those details, let's go ahead and look at that side. So you can see she does have herself quite the backpack. So she's a little bit oversized on the top compared to the lower part of her body. But again, it's just the way they designed her. There's only so much you can do as far as folding up all those panels in the car mode. So bringing this back over, you've got those nice purple wheels, which we will see in the alt mode as well. And lifting those arms up. You see some detail in there. Getting to the arms and taking a look at the top. There's just not a lot to talk about here. I mean, it's good sculpt work and she's busy, but she's not overwhelming here. So got some detail right there. Nice little touch of purple in there. And then she's got her tiny hands, but nice big opening, proportionally speaking. And You've got some detail right there. And then taking a look at her from the back. I've seen worse. Not a lot, but I've seen worse. So, you know, she's just got that huge backpack. Just got to work around it and do what you can. You know, it's not the prettiest. Just turn her around and have her face the other way, basically. So, taking a look here, though, I do like how these look like little wings or winglets. That's pretty cool. And then you got a lot of car going on back here. You can see the way everything's folded up. You got options down here. This is just my preferred display option. Instead of having this hang down or flipped up like that, I just tuck that away right up in there as well, just to try to compact it all up. And then you've got the backs of the arms, a couple little hollow areas, and then the backs of those legs. So yeah, it's not the worst. I think she looks pretty good from the front. You know, I would have liked to have seen her cleaned up a little bit more, but you know, it's a deluxe class figure. You're only going to be able to accomplish so much here. So I do have a level of forgiveness as far as that goes. Pretty decent representation of what we saw in the movie, I suppose. So as far as articulation goes, you can move these around if you want to. If you want to change that overall look, it does kind of change her mood, almost like cat ears a little bit if you want to do that. As far as the head goes, the head's on a ball joint. You just have to be careful with the cowl. So you can go up that far, you can go down that far. You can get a little bit of side to side, and then just turning the head, just be aware of the cowl. You know, you can get it around if you want to really apply some force to it. Shoulders are on a ball joint. Now you can move these pads however you like as well. So try to keep those stable. We're talking about just the pads first. So you can, darn it, you can bring those pads up. You can bring those pads down. It's totally up to you. Again, changes the look. You've got a little bit of motion here that you can use as far as up or down. Up is the preferred mode. And then you have the ball. So come out that far all the way around if you want to do that. And then at the elbow, you've got over 90 degrees elbow bend, and then you've got bicep rotation right there. Get those arms up out of the way, and then you've got waist rotation. You're just going to run into a lot of stuff. So just a lot of geometric interference here. So as you turn that waist, if you don't take her apart like I just did, let's go, there we go. Turning that waist, you're just going to run into a lot of things. So just be aware of that, but you do have waist rotation. And as far as the hips go, hips are on those pins. Again, if you can get everything cleared of everything else, you can get a nice deep split. Not quite a Nightbird Van Dam, but you do get a nice deep split in spite of all this extra junk that's hanging off the sides. So just something to be aware of there. Kicking forward, kick forward that far, kicking backward. Oh man, look what I keep doing. This backpack, that's one of the annoyances. You put your finger anywhere here, it's going to come off. So I'm not trying to complain here, I'm just simply letting you know. All right, so kicking backward, you know, if you get around that backpack, you can have a nice deep back kick. So plenty of option there. You do have thigh rotation right here, so you can rotate that around. Just be careful not to hit all your stuff. And then down here at the knee, I'm gonna lift this up out of your way so it's easier to see. Down here at the knee, you can get 2 points of rotation if you want to, so you've got a point of rotation there. And then you have this knee bend that you can utilize right there. And then it comes forward a little bit to kind of give you that chicken stance, which is where her ideal balance comes from, is just having her set up. This is an exaggerated version, but having her set up something like that. But yeah, certainly take advantage of that double jointed knee, if you will. And then you can get some nice deep knee bends out of her. And making our way down to the feet, you do have ankle tilt, but it's up here on this point of rotation, so you get a few degrees there. And then you have toe. Really not much you're going to do with that except for just bring those toes out. So nothing in the heels. She's actually pretty stable. She's not as top heavy or back heavy as you might think. So she stands pretty well. And she's relatively easy to pose as long as you don't pry her apart. Just simply because there's so much proverbial junk in the trunk here as far as that backpack goes. Super easy to just grab her and, you know, start pulling all this stuff apart. So that is an annoyance, but it's not the worst thing I've ever had to deal with on a figure. And the fact that she actually stands up, good enough for me. Now, moving on to the accessories or the accessory, there is nothing really surprising here. You take her sword, you stick the sword in her hand, and I know this is pretty shocking, but there you go. That's how you do it. Now, you do have a couple of options for weapon storage. So you've got some tabs or a tab right here on either side, so you could take that sword and you could plug that sword in right there, and then she's got kind of a cool little setup there in bot mode for the storage. I think that looks pretty good. It's definitely reminiscent of a ninja type of storage. You also have the ability back here, right here on this tab, if you want to store the sword in the back. Let go, please. Thank you. So you just take it, line it up, give it a push, and then disconnect everything. No, don't disconnect everything. That was just me expressing frustration. There. Tap back in. So there you go. Anyway, that backpack and me, we get along really well. So yeah, you've got that weapon storage as well if you like it, or if you want to use it. I'm not a fan of it. I prefer the storage right there on the side where she can pull her sword nice and quick, but that is up to you. So that covers the details, the articulation, and what you can do with those accessories. So we'll just go ahead and jump into the transformation now, and we'll get her into her alt mode. So the first thing that I like to do to get Nightbird ready to go into her vehicle mode is just take these shoulder pads and flip those down, straighten those arms out. That way I've just got them sitting just like that, and then I come down here to those little toes and I squeeze those little toes in just like that. And then I'm going to come over here to the backpack and do a little bit of work here. So you're going to take these little wings right there and bring those back so you've got them sitting as such. And then they are ever so slightly tabbed in right here, so you're just going to lift a little bit. Now, I'm not ready for you yet. You just stay right there. You're going to lift a little bit, and then you're going to pull that apart right there, just so those are sitting apart, and then you can just fold those in so they're sitting like that. So have everything collapsed as such. And then, now it's your turn. And then you can take this piece and pull it away from those two tabs. They just sit right there like that. So there's just a little bit of friction that holds them together. So just pull that away. And then once you do that, you're going to come down here, or I come down here at least, and then I unfold the front, the hood, and the front grille of the car. And then right here you've got a point of rotation, so you're just going to rotate 180 degrees. Bring all that so it's sitting like that. And now I'm going to come up here underneath this, and I'm going to give this hood a pull, and you're going to bring that hood up over the head, so just make sure you got the head oriented where you're not going to catch it as everything pulls up around it. So just give this a pull. It can be a little tough, so might be a little bit of a catch there. So bring that up, and you should have an exploded view, something like that. But once you've got her here like this, now you can just bring this down. You've got this axis right there where you can bring that hood down. And oh, before you do that, let me not forget, you need to spread this hood right here. Gives you enough room to put your grill there. So these little pieces right here sit on hinges, and then you're going to go back home. There you go. So that's how they were in the bot mode. You just need to make sure that you spread those out on these two little hinges right here, those two little axes, and then they're just going to sit right in these little gray areas right there. You've got the slightest of divots, and you're just going to set those just like that. And then you're going to be able to bring that hood down and then bring that grill down, and then that's going to clip in right there and hold that all in place and make the front end. Now you're going to take those arms and make sure the legs are out of your way and just swing those arms in just like that. They're not going to lock in anywhere yet. They just sit just like this. So bring those down, swing those in. If you want to give yourself a check, make sure that you see these hollow areas pointing toward the outside, because you're going to need these later for tabbing some stuff in. All right, so you should have something that's approximately like that. All right, next thing we're going to do is we're going to come down here and do a little bit of work on those legs. So I'm going to take the hip skirts. Now these hip skirts, they're sitting on these tiny little areas where you can pull them out. So if you watch right here in the gap between the leg and the hip skirt itself, pull that out, and now you have a little bit more of a gap, and that gives you the ability to rotate this hip skirt. Okay, so I'm just going to rotate them and push them forward approximately like that. There's no science to it, just kind of get it approximately there. Same thing over here, bring that out, And I'm going to take these legs right here at the thigh rotation. I'm going to rotate those 180 degrees, just like that. Do the same thing with this one over here. And then here at the ankle tilt, we're going to flip these all the way in. So you should have something that looks like that now. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to take this leg assembly right here. We're going to tuck everything up under here. And as we do that, this piece is going to rotate. So trying to find the best view to show you here. We're just going to take all this and fold that in and spin that piece down and tuck it under. And then this is where that hip skirt rotation comes in. So rotate that hip skirt just a little bit more, and you will notice you've got a little tab right there. It's going to line up to a slot just inside. Oh, can't see it if I've got the door in the way. To a slot right up inside of this piece. So once you have your leg tucked in like that, bring it up a little bit more, give that a nice push, and then get those lined up just like that. And then you need to bring this door forward. What I have found is the easiest way to do that is you have 2 points of rotation here. You've got this inner hinge and then this outer hinge. Rotate the outer hinge first. So bring this so it's sitting like that, and then you can bring this piece forward. It's a lot easier, trust me. All right, so I'm just going to leave this as it is for now, and I'm going to come over here and I'm going to do the same thing over here. So I'm going to take this, I'm going to lift that up while simultaneously rotating that other piece down and give that a push so it's in there, and open that door up just a little bit like that so you can see what I'm doing. And then I'm going to tab that in just like that. And then what you're going to do, since I still have this one open, I'm going to show you. You've got a tab here and you've got a tab here that are going to align to this hollow area or slot, and then this slot right up in there. So as you close this, that's where all that's going to go. The tricky part really is just making sure you get the tabs in the arms. Up here, they're going to go easy. Just getting them in the arms is the hard part. So make sure you got everything lined up and give those arms a little bit of a wiggle if you need to, and then just start squeezing everything together here. And make sure you've got everything lined up. So just take some squeezing here, get all that in. There we go. Give that a squeeze. So you should have something that approximates this. And then the last thing that we're going to do, other than our final squeezes, is we're just going to take this rear end right here. We're going to bring that rear end down. All this is going to tuck away, so those little wings you folded in earlier and collapsed in, they're just going to fold in just like that. And then you have these tabs right there that are going to go into these slots on either side. So bring those down, collapse those in, make sure everything is collapsed on every side. One last squeeze, make sure we're all good. And there you have Nightbird in her alt mode. So here is Nightbird in all of her alt mode glory, and yeah, she looks really good. As she should, considering this is an officially licensed Nissan GTR alt mode. So the emphasis, I'm sure, was put in making sure that that alt mode looked as Nissan would approve. But yeah, I think the coloring here, overall style, everything looks good. The biggest thing I'm going to complain about is just the wheels. Just the fact that in those front wheels you have that silver hub, and then in the rear wheels it's all purple. So it does detract a little bit from there. But overall body style, overall looks for a deluxe class, I think this comes together looking pretty darn good. She rolls easy. Everything tabs in the way she should, or the way it should. So no major complaints there. Just wanted to put her on the turntable here so you could get a 360 out of her unobstructed, and just really appreciate what they've done here to make a vehicle that looks like this in alt mode transform into a robot that kind of sort of looks like it does in the movie. So let's go ahead and get that turntable out of the way, and then we'll bring Nightbird in for her close-up in her alt mode. All right, now that we've got that turntable out of the way, let's take a nice, close, in-depth look at what Nightbird has to offer. And we'll start right up here with that grill, so you can see the paint right there. And if you look really close right in that grill, you can see a Terrorcon logo, so that's kind of cool. I think the paint isn't the best, but they do a good job here with just those different colors. You do have a little bit of a mismatch between the painted and the molded plastic, So that is a little bit of a discrepancy there, but it's not awful. Coming around to the side, again, that combination of purples and golds and kind of those gunmetal, dark gunmetal grays come together and look really good. That silhouette is nice. I mean, they've done a good job of capturing that car mode for sure. And then coming around to the back, squeeze her together a little bit better. There we go. Coming around to the back, you see those tail lights. You see, let me get that contrast for you. There you go. So you've got that GTR logo right there. And then, of course, it's not something you can actually make out on this vehicle because it's so small, but you've got that bump for the Nissan logo right there. And then you've got that huge aftermarket wing. She is very fast. You know, the wing makes her faster for sure. And then coming over to this side, much like that side over there, just something worth noting, you do have that door handle molded in, so it's kind of cool. Yeah, all looks good. You've got mirrors on there. Nothing inside the mirrors is just molded plastic. And then there she is from the top, so you've got that fastback, those louvers right there. Oh no, I've dropped her. Are you okay? the top view, and then here's the bottom view. I'm sure she's fine. All right, so yeah, she looks really good. Now, as far as articulation, she's a car. The only articulation she has is the ability to roll. I don't know why that's not rolling back there. No, well, it's a low friction surface, but you get the gist. There you go. But yeah, she rolls really good. I swear to you, it's loose and it rolls nicely. And one last thing, since there really is no articulation, we will talk about the accessory and the weapon storage. This is some of the best weapon storage I've seen on a deluxe class. I really do appreciate it. So not only is it elegant, it's also functional. So you have down here, it doesn't matter which side you choose, you've got little notches right there and right there. And then you've got this tab right there. You're just simply going to take that tab. You're going to line it up to that notch. If I can do it on camera. There we go. So once you get it in line just like that, friction holds it in. It holds nicely and it doubles, even though, pay no attention to that exhaust pipe right there. We're just going to pretend that that's an exhaust pipe right there. So yeah, does a wonderful job. You can't really see it. When you do see it, it looks like an exhaust pipe. Doesn't interfere with the vehicle at all. So yeah, very cool. I do very much like her alt mode. Between the two, I think this is probably my favorite. But now that we've talked about all that, we're going to go ahead and get into those comparisons and see how Nightbird's alt mode compares to some other figures out there. For our first alt mode comparison, here we see that Studio Series Nightbird on the left. On the right is the original G1 Wheeljack. So this just gives you a sense of scale here, how the new Deluxe Series figures stack up to the size and scale of those original G1 figures. Our next comparison is also another female warrior. This is the Transformers Legacy Deluxe Class Elita 1. I thought it might be kind of fun to have some GTR on GTR comparison action. So on the left, of course, is that Studio Series Nightbird, and on the right is the Transformers Alternity Optimus Prime. Moving on to our next comparison, this one is a twofer, just because these two guys came in the same pack together. So this is the Studio Series Nightbird. This is the deluxe scaled Nightbird that came with Wheeljack and Cheetor in that Jungle Mission 3-pack. So these were kind of the unofficial official figures before the Studio Series figures started coming out. And for our final alt mode comparison, here we see Nightbird with a fellow Terrorcon. This is the Studio Series Voyager class Battle Trap. And I think the scale works here. So yeah, these two look pretty good together. You've got an officially licensed Nissan, officially licensed GMC Wrecker over here. So I think that these two do scale up quite nicely together. Let's just spin that right there so you can get a view like that as well to give you an idea. But yeah, I think that works. Alright, that's it for the alt mode comparison. So let's get Nightbird transformed back into her bot mode. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to pull Nightbird apart right back here. So just give this a gentle pull and bring all of this out just like that. And then you're going to lift that back end up and just fold it up like that and get it out of your way. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to take these doors right here and fold them down. So just stick your thumb right in there, give those a pull on both sides, And then you're going to fold these down just like that. Do the same thing over here. Once you've got it here, now you're just going to grab right here like this, and you're going to give all this a pull, and you're going to straighten that leg out. So just give that a pull. Oh, I forgot to take the sword off. If you didn't take the sword off, take the sword off, the exhaust sword. Ta-da! And then you're going to take the leg and pull that leg all the way out just like that. You're going to straighten it, and then you're going to take that ankle tilt, and you're going to rotate it 180 degrees, and then at the thigh, 180 degrees. And then you're going to take the hip skirt right here, so you can see how the hip skirt is oriented. You're going to bring that hip skirt so it's pointed down, and then you see you've got a little bit of a gap right there. You're going to line this up, and then right in there, it's going to be really hard to see. There's a little spot where you line that up, and then you can give that a push, and then you can collapse that hip skirt in, and that stops that from rotating. All right, after we've done that, we're just going to take her little toe, and we're going to pull her little toe out just like that. So do the same thing on this side without the removal of the sword because it's already gone. So take this, give this a pull, and bring that on down. Flip this out, rotate that around, take that hip skirt, bring that down, collapse it in, and then take that toe, push that toe out, and look at that. You've got a pair of legs, just like that. How about that? All right, so next thing, take your arms, and you can just grab them and give them a pull, just like this. Bring them out so they're clear, just like that. And then you're going to make sure you've got everything oriented like this. Your backpack's up like that, and then you're going to take this little grill right here, pull that little grill up, and then pull that away. Make sure you're sitting like that. So while you've got her like this, you're just going to take these two front bumper pieces, and they're sitting on these double hinges right here. You're just going to bring them forward and collapse them in so they're just sitting a little bit closer to each other, just like that. Get all the way over there for me, please. It's being stubborn. Bring it up. There we go. That's better. All right. So once you've got those collapsed like that, now you're just going to make sure the head is clear and bring those down. I still got that one crooked. It's bugging me. There we go. Bring those down and then have the head clear just like that. And now you're going to squeeze this together, and it's going to be actually a pretty solid snap together. So just kind of grab right here, give that a squeeze, and you'll feel that click. It's a nice solid click for sure. Bring the arms down and take your little shoulder pads, lift those little shoulder pads up, orient them any way you desire, whatever makes you happy. And then we're going to come back here, work on the backpack. So we've pulled that backpack away, and now we're going to rotate that 180 degrees. Take this little piece down here, do with this what you will. The instructions say to fold it like that, and then you can see it right there. I choose to have it folded and then bring it up like that. So you do what you want to do. Oh no, I've dropped her again. You do what you want to do. This is what I like to do. All right, so then next thing we're going to do is we're going to pull this piece out, and then right here we're going to make this a 90-degree angle, just like that. All right, so then we're able to, this is sitting on this hinge like that, so just find your angle and bring this up, and you've got these little clear tabs right here that are just going to rest in these little pockets. So that's all I'm trying to do is get those lined up just like that. And then I'm going to bring this piece up, and then I've got a little tab and a little slot right there, and then I'm going to align those together and snap them in. There we go. Get everything all collapsed. So these are just held on by friction right here. So this pulls apart really easily. Don't be surprised if yours pulls apart. And then you've just got that little tab right there holding that in. So then the last thing we need to do is take these little wings and fold those little wings out. And then you just have to get her standing up. And with that, you have Nightbird in her bot mode. For our first bot mode comparison, here we see that Studio Series Deluxe-Class Nightbird next to a G1 figure. This is the G1 Wheeljack. Speaking of Wheeljacks, here he is right in the center for our next comparison. So I brought three figures in on this one, Wheeljack of course, and then this is Nightbird and Cheetor. So these three figures came in that Jungle Mission 3-pack. So they're not Studio Series, but they are officially licensed Rise of the Beast figures that came in that 3-pack. And you can see the comparison here between the two Nightbirds. If anything, the Studio Series Nightbird over here, although she has far more detail, she's actually a little bit shorter than the Nightbird that came in that 3-pack. Our next comparison is also a female robotic warrior. This is the Transformers Legacy Deluxe Class Prime Universe RC. Our last couple of comparisons are going to be comparisons against other Studio Series figures from that Rise of the Beast line, and we're going to start right here with that Core Class Noah Diaz figure, which, as far as Core Class figures go, this is one cool little Core Class figure. I really dig him. And for our final bot mode comparison, this one is the most fun in my opinion. This is that Rise of the Beasts Axis of Evil. So you have those 3 Studio Series Terrorcons. Of course, Nightbird is in the middle. On the right-hand side over here, we have that Voyager class Battle Trap. And over here, we have the Leader class Scourge. That's going to do it for the bot mode comparisons. So let's go ahead and get into those final thoughts. Let's go ahead and talk about that Studio Series Deluxe Class Rise of the Beasts Nightbird. This is a figure that I think epitomizes what happens when you have to make sacrifices in the bot mode in order to satisfy the official licensing for an alt mode. The bot mode suffered here at the expense of getting that alt mode looking like a Nissan GTR so that they could have that official Nissan licensing. Well, let's go ahead and just jump into it a little bit. We'll start with the overall looks of the figure, starting with that aesthetic. I like the color scheme here. I think the colors work. Those purples and golds just work with those blacks, so comes across looking really cool in bot mode or in alt mode. The alt mode, of course, is very good, as it is officially licensed from Nissan, so it is a heck of a good-looking car, no doubt about it. The bot mode, on the other hand, that is where the suffering occurs. She has a lot of detail here. I mean, everywhere you look, there's some type of mechanical detail, and a lot of work went into the sculpting here to kind of give her that next level, which I very much do appreciate. However, like I said, that bot mode was definitely sacrificed for the alt mode. She is a teapot, and what I mean by that is she is short and stout. And she comes equipped with a big backpack. So this is kind of the opposite of what we saw in the movie. She was sleek and lithe and agile, and she just looks stocky and short here. Doesn't look like she would be very good in fighting. I could be wrong, but that's just my opinion of it. She's kind of the opposite of what she looked like in the movie, in my opinion. As far as the overall hollow areas, there aren't very many. You know, she's got a couple, but they don't detract. I think it's just that short and stocky teapot kind of look that is kind of the opposite of what we saw in the movie. But overall, I think especially in the alt mode, the detail is good there. The car looks great. Bot mode looks good as long as you don't compare her to what we saw in the movie. So I'm going to give her an 8 out of 10 on the overall looks. Moving on to the articulation, she has really good articulation. She has it everywhere you need it, and those double jointed legs or double jointed knees help as well. The problem is she gets in her own way almost everywhere you look. So turning that head, she's got way more ability to move that head than what the geometry gives her, because her cowl is going to get caught on stuff. Same thing down in the waist. Trying to turn that waist, her big hip skirts are going to run into her backpack and that kind of stuff. So she's limited by her own geometry, but the overall articulation is there if you could just find a way around all that. So I'm going to give her an 8 out of 10 for the articulation. I think it is done pretty well. Moving on to the accessories, or the accessory in this case, she comes with that one accessory, which is that sword. It's kind of plain. You've got black molded plastic, and then you've got black paint on it. There's a little bit of sculpt work there, but there is absolutely nothing exciting. Speaking frankly, I think the sword that came with the Jungle Mission 3-pack Nightbird looked cooler than this one. However, I will say I do like the storage. I don't think I'm going to necessarily attribute that to being a good accessory. I just do like the weapon storage in both modes. So on that hip skirt, you can store that sword almost like how a ninja would have it, or on the back if you want to do that. And then in the alt mode, looks really good, stores right underneath the car, looks like an exhaust pipe. Very well done there. But the accessory itself is really underwhelming. So I'm going to give her a 6 out of 10 on the accessory. Moving on to quality, not a lot to say here. I have no major issues with the quality. Everything is as it should be. The paint looks pretty good. Everything tabs in as it should. The joints are tight. She transforms like she's supposed to, so no major issues there. I'm going to give her a 9 out of 10. As always, I think the hips could be a little tighter than what they are. So bringing us to our last bullet, which is overall value. I picked this figure up in the wild. So I picked her up for MSRP, which is on deluxe class figures nowadays, $25 US. I picked her up at a local Walmart. So other than the box being beat up on the shelf, paying MSRP is what it is these days. So I'm not the biggest fan of the price point that these deluxe class figures are at, but I wouldn't pay more than MSRP. So, deal with that with how you have to, I suppose. But I think as far as this figure itself goes, for a $25 price point, I'm still not completely bought in. It's hard to swallow the idea that this costs $25. So it's something I'm going to have to reconcile, but I just don't feel like there's a huge value here, I should say, for that price point. So I'm going to give her a 7 out of 10. So that's going to bring us to our grand total out of possible 50 points. The Studio Series Nightbird gets 38 out of 50, which puts her at 76%. It sounds like a bit of a low score, but it's really because she's getting dragged down by the overall value and the accessory. Everything else is pretty good on this figure, and I think if you pick her up, you're going to have a fine time with her. And she does complete that triplet trio axis of evil with Battle Trap and with Scourge, so it's always good to see those three together. This one's going to be your call. I'm not going to recommend her, but I'm also not going to say to run away. So with that, that's going to wrap up the review. I hope you got some good information out of this. I hope you got some entertainment. Do always appreciate you guys watching and interacting with us. It is always greatly appreciated. So if you haven't already done so, be sure to hit that like button. Be sure to subscribe, leave a comment if you feel like it. And one last favor to ask, if you know of anyone that might like what we do here on this channel with these videos, please feel free to share the channel with them, share the videos with them. It's always fun to watch that community grow. So until we see you guys in the next review, take care.